whole lot of talk. The interviews that rock. Brought to you by Rock Antenne, Germany's #1 rock radio station.
We're here to talk about your new album, which will be released January 13th.
Yeah.
The name is Neon Noir.
Indeed it is.
And I was listening to the album and I really felt the name connected to the music, but also I felt like it's a little bit neon avant-garde. Is this a sound you've been carrying all your life inside, or is it something you just developed the past 25 years?
What a question. I never thought that I would have an inkling of avant-garde in me. I always thought that I'm too simplistic for anything, too over the top. But I'm glad that you found that if for whatever reason the title resonated with you. I've always liked the sort of the yin and yang aspect. Same with all the hymn album titles and a lot of songs as well, the sort of coming together of the beauty and the beast. Because I think that just the beauty or just the beast is very boring. You know, it needs to be a weird combination of weird emotions, like Korean films, like Parasite, where you don't really know what the heck is going on, but it still makes you weep and it makes you laugh and it makes you smile and you remember it. That's how I would love for my music to be appreciated. We'll see what happens, but it's also, when doing that stuff, it's not an intellectual process. It's picking names or choosing names. You go with your gut, what feels the right. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the only way to do it right. Or mostly anything in life. Go by instinct and intuition.
The conclusion of the music is an angel can kill you, but a demon can save you?
I don't think it's such a simplistic thing. It's more about welcoming the more negative aspects of life or the more melancholy aspects of life, and not celebrating darkness per se, but celebrating the fact that we need both to be able to be balanced as human beings and as a world, to appreciate all that. And they're there for a reason. The cold and the rain and the darkness. You need that to be appreciative of the sun and the warmth and the summer. As Finns, we sort of get that because winters are very long and very dark. So I think you can read it whatever way you want to, and you can. But it's tough to put in just a couple of words because myself, it's me, and I've been working on that for a long, long time. I started playing music when I was maybe 7, so it's got to be nearly 40 years soon. And music's always been my lifeline. So I don't sort of filter out my emotions when it comes to music. It's a combination of everything.
What have you been starting with? Singing, guitar, piano? What was the start at the age of 7?
I think everybody had to start with the sort of like the fluty thing. I don't know what you actually call it, the accordion or something. But no, accordion is this. But my first instrument was bass guitar. That's what I started to study when I was younger. I loved Kiss, and Gene Simmons with All the Blood seemed the coolest, and I loved Iron Maiden as well. And through many different turns, I then ended up starting to try how to sing about when I was 14 or so. Sang for a couple of little projects, and then we formed Him, and it just happened. I wasn't supposed to be the singer originally, but then it stuck. And now on the new album, I played everything, so that's quite different too for me. Quite a challenge as well, and recorded. So there was nobody else besides me in the studio. So I did everything besides mixing and mastering. So it was interesting. It was like a test I put myself to.
So not only the album is really personal, the whole thing is really personal.
Yeah, including the cover artwork. All the stuff is really like the font, the typeset. I did that by hand, and I did it by ordering a kid's set of like these ink letters, like an old typecast. But it was meant for children, and it was from Amazon.de, and then I tried them out as many variations as I could to get the sort of like the ink to get these blobs and these weird accidents happening. Then I scanned it all and I redrew it, and then I turned it into a font. I don't know why, but I just felt that I had to do nearly everything because it was a personal, and it is a personal thing. And it was nice to sort of like test your own limits. Now I didn't have a band, so I didn't have to ask permission from anybody, so I was able to do that stuff. But it took a long time.
What a story.
It's I don't know, hopefully sort of, it's interesting in that even though if you don't like the music, you can appreciate the fact that a lot of effort went into it, and the whole the whole world of it. So I think that was a learning lesson for me, and also a task and a test after being involved in many albums before, because routine is a killer. So you have to avoid it, at least when creating something new. And then at the end of that, the funny thing is that even though creating new music, it just still has a lot of hymn in it. Because I wrote a lot of the hymn songs, and it's me singing, so it's not a complete 180. It's like a double 180, 360, come back exactly to the same spot.
Besides all the personal lyrics, which song means the most to you?
I like the title track, Neon Noir. I like that because it's sort of... The long story is that how I worked on the album was that I actually started from scratch each and every song and finished it. So I didn't do the 12 songs at a time. So it was like a constant journey further into the album and also further into recording and writing. So I was like, okay, now it would be great to have this sort of a song, like a feel or whatever. And Neon Noir was in the middle of the session for me. And I think it was coming out of the pandemic a bit. That was the time that there was a bit of light at the end of the tunnel when I was working on the song. So maybe there's a bit of uplifting. There's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel in that song too. It's once again, it's like asking the listener to join the not necessarily me, but come over and open up the doors and hop into the world of VV or whatever you want to call it. The sort of like dancing with tears in my eyes. The appreciation of melancholy things and appreciation of the somber things in life, because there are somber things in life, and usually they do make us stronger. And then usually those are the things that actually, how our personalities develop. We develop through not necessarily pain, but through challenges, and so I find celebrating the challenges important as well, and maybe it comes from that. It's an odd perspective, but I've been doing it for such a long time that it's second nature to me.
As we all in music history had to go through a very tough time the past 2.5 years. And I spoke to a lot of musicians asking what they did, and they said, well, online streaming, writing songs, work-related answers. But the most of us was the first time ever that they spent so much time on their own. How do you personally benefited from this time?
Or with their families. I was, it was such a tough thing for a couple of mates who had, let's say, a quite small apartment, couple of kids, and a wife and a husband, and all of a sudden, no activities for the kids, no workplace, but everybody had to work from home. It's like that was torture. So I have to say that I was, I had the space, and I spent the time. My lifeline was working on the album, because myself, as well as most of the world, I got so depressed, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow and whether we have, if there's going to be anything. I didn't think about touring or none of that stuff mattered, but just sort of like the existence. Does any of this, and I think a lot of people were actually thinking about, does any of this make any sense? Why do we do what we do? Should we keep on doing what we do? I think a lot of people went through the same questions, and all that stuff is on the album. That's where I put all that stuff. The sort of like existential problematics, and because it was quite dark at times. But then that's the important thing, which I've sort of tried to explain, is also kind of realized that the good example of that is the album. Going through all that poop, throughout the pandemic, and then actually coming up with something nice. At least something very important to me, because it helped me to breathe and to get through it. So that was a positive sense in the pandemic, but. They're not really, seeing. It was pretty strict in Finland, so I didn't get to see my parents too much, and a lot of the stuff that we do take for granted were all of a sudden taken away, but then again, the cool thing about that was to see, at least back home, how society sticks together, because everybody lost the chances of doing so. Of course, there were a few rebels, a few Boris Johnsons, but it was quite sweet to see that people actually listen to they care about each other. Let's put it that way. But that was the first time. I think after September 11th, there was a short period of time where there was this global and this communal sense of uncertainty. Where is this world coming to? What's going to happen tomorrow? Where are we? And pandemic had a similar feel, but it was way longer. So it was really odd. not knowing if this is the end. Because at first it really felt like that.
Sure, you don't know how this virus develops.
Yeah, nobody knew anything about it. And then most of us tried to keep all that uncertainty to themselves. But we could sort of sort of feel the vibe that everybody was sort of, it was such a weird thing. I don't want to say that, I'm not yet ready to say that it was a positive experience. People have the great tendency also to sort of gild the bad memories. That's a learning process. Hopefully we learn something from it.
I guess it was so weird to us, and I count us as the same generation because we never experienced a war.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, and now we kind of, and then the whole situation afterwards. It's the situation now is such a weird thing, having a war so close, and these have been odd times, quite testing times. I think they tested the character, more or less, but those are the kind of times that also. I'm not sure why we're talking about all this, but humanity-wise, I think it was also very sweet to see that even during the pandemic, people wanted to make babies. As simple as that, but it was quite weird. Not all of them can be accidents. The people still have the sense that they want to still build a life, and they will still, no matter, hell or high water, or however they put it, that whatever the challenges might be, we still want to go forward, and we still want to create, and we still want to live and give life and all that. It's quite romantic in essence. So maybe that's the good thing about all the struggles we've went through. To see that there is the sort of romanticism still left, that it's not all about just money, and me.
And a lot of dogs and cats from the shelter found a new home.
That too. And a lot of people realize that there are so many cats and dogs at the shelters. A lot of things that we haven't. I'm allergic. Yeah, I had when I was a kid. We had a rescue dog. My mom and dad rescued him, and he taught me how to walk. But then he was my best friend. But then he passed away when I was about 6, and within a year I developed all sorts of allergies and asthma. So I love dogs. I've never been such a fan of cats, but they feel too mysterious and sort of devious. Dogs are easier to hang around with, but no, I don't mind. I love animals. We used to have a parrot and all sorts of animals when I was a kid. And my mom used to ride horses, so I was at her place, not her place, but where she used to ride horses, doing the horse thing. So yeah, I'm an animal lover. That's that. But I didn't rescue anything now at this time. But I'm the sort of person that I don't even kill spiders. Spiders are good for the ecosystem at home. They kill all the little. So I have one called Andrew, because I love Andrew Eldridge from the Sisters of Mercy. So I have one little spider that has been living in my bathroom for about 5 years now. Andrew, I call him.
I'm really impressed, as I have a spider in my bathroom called Werner.
Oh, cool.
It looks like Glenn Danzig. It's very
excellent.
very small, but very strong.
That's funny. They might get along.
I guess so. First I saw it was quite like, I did not expect it. The walls are white and the spider is really deep black and quite fat. So I was like, whoa. Yeah. But we get along quite fine.
That's good. Yeah, they do good things, and then it's live and let live whenever possible.
The next course.
Yeah. Well, it's good. That's life, isn't it?
You'll start 2023 with the new album. The release comes first in January. What are the other plans for the years, like festivals, tours, Sexiest Man Alive?
Oh well, I'm not the one deciding that, But that competition, I won't be participating anyway. But so it's in January when the album's coming out. We're playing our first shows in Helsinki, and right after that, after a few weeks, we're going to start our European tour. It starts in February. We're playing here in Berlin on the 17th of February. We're playing Hamburg before, I think, isn't it so? 18th. Oh, so it's right after Berlin. Me and dates. It's just oh Lord, But I started thinking about dating, but that's another story. But we're playing. I think we're playing Fabrik, isn't it, in Hamburg? We haven't played there before. It's always been Doxor, then Große Freiheit, and we did a little place on the first tour, and then I've been to Schlachthof and a lot of the smaller venues, because we spent a lot of time with him on Reeperbahn, mostly on that area. When Hotel Monopol and all that, it was like a second home at one point. So, but yeah, we're going to be touring Europe in February, and then heading over to North America. And after that, coming back over to Europe, playing a ton of festivals. Hopefully. I'm not even sure which ones are confirmed yet. There will be German ones as well, but I'm not sure which ones are like okayed. And I've only seen like tentative schedules. And afterward, I'm hoping that the touring will continue until the very end of the year. We weren't really a big touring band with him. People had their families and stuff like that, so time-wise, it wasn't a problem, but we decided that we're not going to be a really heavy-duty touring band. And with this new project of mine, I don't have the restrictions, or it's a new thing, so we're trying to play as much as we can with the guys, and we're rehearsing at the time. You know, we just finished rehearsals in Helsinki, and once I'm flying back, we're going to continue. It's all sounding good, and it's exciting, playing hymn songs and the new songs and back to back, and it'll be a cool set. I'm hoping Hamburg is sold out too. I'm not sure.
It is. It was sold out quick as a whip.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you will love the location, the Fabrik.
I've seen pictures of it.
It's so beautiful. It's historic.
Yeah.
It's really an old fabric, and
Yeah.
it has so much history and so rough, and it's kind of not really dirty, but dirty.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're like a derelict sort of. It has a great feel to it, and then I like the sort of like the second level. The materials are there, and I think my mom is coming over. They always travel with a couple of. There's like three ladies that always travel to some gigs, and I think they're coming over to Fabrik, so it'd be nice. And they haven't been to Hamburg before, so it'll be fun for them as well.
The acoustic is awesome.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I just saw Sonata Arctica.
Oh, they played then. Yeah.
2-3 weeks ago, something like that. They had their acoustic shows, and they played in Fabrik, and it sounded so beautiful.
Okay. We're going to be way louder, so let's see. But that's never a problem. Acoustics, you can always win them over. If there's a good audience and a good bunch of songs, it doesn't matter. Of course, it helps if it sounds great, but you can't have all of it all the time. So, but it's exciting. It's funny how it felt that a lot of stuff moved in sort of slow motion during the pandemic. So there's been a few years, and I wasn't super active. I did a Schlager project in Finland with a band called Agents. We released an album with old 70s Finnish pop and Schlager songs, and we toured with that. It was nice to do that right after him disbanded, because it was such a different thing for different audiences, and it's a long story anyway, but we did that one thing, and right after I started working on the solo thing, and then the pandemic hit. So I haven't even traveled since him. This is the first time I've traveled abroad. So it feels weird to be on an airplane at an airport and speaking in English as well, and being in Berlin. It's weird. It's like I'm hoping that it's going to be like riding a bike, but it's not quite there. I'm still wobbly, But it's exciting times. But after all that slow motion, it's now everything seems to be moving super fast. There's so much information that it's quite daunting. But I'm enjoying it, and then I'm really happy that there seems to be people still interested in what I do, because that's not a given. I've been around for quite a bit, and then him weren't doing that much in Europe. We were doing some touring, but not like the last album we put out was back in 2013. So it's nearly 10 years. It's a long time. So it's quite an amazing thing that the people still know my name and are interested in the music and are buying tickets and stuff. Hope they buy the T-shirts too. I have a good feeling about it. I'm just hoping that everybody's going to be healthy.
Merch is benefiting the most, right?
These days, yeah. A lot of the ticket sales go into the production. That's the way it's always been. And with the rock bands, it's a great way to support an act. Usually, it's always also the percentages are quite reasonable. So it's not like a record deal sort of thing. At least back in the day, that the record label took most of the money. So yeah, that's a good way to support, and it actually can make quite a difference. So, but let's hope it's depending on good designs as well. So we're working on that. It'll be nice.
Who did the design?
I did all that stuff with a graphic designer with whom I've been working on several albums before. He's an artist as well, and he helps me out. He was the guy who helped me out with the Neon Noir cover. It's a gatefold vinyl with there's some UV lacquer stuff, so stuff that is shiny and non-shiny and matte and blah. And I know my way around Photoshop a bit, but just like converting different file formats, and I don't have an Illustrator. I don't know how to do a layout, and so So I did most of that stuff by myself. It just felt that it's a test. And same with the merchandise. I came up with like 90% of the stuff, and then my mate helped me out to sort of like realize it and make sure that it prints well and that we can do it and all that. So
so excited to see.
Well, yeah, and I'm building up the pressure, but yeah, but the gig, I think the gig will be good. And then we're playing, you know, the set is 50% him, 50% new stuff, and it's back to back. It's like, I think if everything goes well, the set will start with Echolocate Your Love, and the second song will be Rip Out the Wings of a Butterfly. So that's the feel of the sort of the set. So it's not like I would never liked it when a band comes on and they play like 7 new songs and then 3 old ones or whatever. You know, I like it being more of a combo. And then at the end of the day, the sounds are not so different. They fit very well together, the older songs too. So it's nice. It's like an anthropological journey every night, or at least a personal journey of my evolution as a man.
Having a concert sold out so quickly like Hamburg did, does this put extra pressure as you think the fans are expecting more because they haven't seen you in such a long time?
Well, if they're true fans, they know that the most important, well, not the most important thing, but what I do is that the only thing I can be is the best me. I can sing the songs, do the best sing songs, and do them as well as I can. I can't do much more. Have a good band playing that, and they sound good, and that's exactly what we do. So no, I'm not worried about expectations in that sense. I think the expectations on yourself are always the worst, because you want to be better and you don't want to mess up, and that's normal. That's about everything that is important in life to you, sort of gets you the butterflies. It's the same thing with playing gigs, but you know, that's what I've been doing for quite a while, and with more or less success. So I've messed up, and I've did a few good shows back in the day too. So I know how a good one feels. So I have a good feeling about this. You know, I'm not worried. I think I'm excited. It's great that there's going to be hopefully new faces and a lot of familiar faces from the past as well. I think it's beautiful. It's great if music can carry through all those years, and hopefully we can make all that music justice. That's all we can hope. I don't like the attitude of, yeah, it's going to be the best ever, because A, I'm not American, B, I'm Finnish. So we don't brag in advance. We brag in the bar completely drunk afterwards, but since I don't drink, you know, that's not going to happen either.
What are the thoughts that are going through your mind right before hitting the stage?
Where's the toilet? I think that's routine as well, but I used to puke before gigs as well. I get really nervous, but it's a weird. I know some older people, like in their 60s or 70s, who've been performers all their lives. They still have the same. It's, you know, that you get. It's such a big effect, or the chemical change in your body, the adrenaline and all that stuff, that you get the shakes and you get a weird feel. But then as a sort of like semi-professional, I know that you go through it. That's the non-scary part. It's like you feel really weird, but then you just have to walk through it, and then once on stage, usually it eases up. But and usually what I tend to do is to check that my zipper is closed. That's the one most important thing, and then that you don't have any toilet paper hanging from your shoes, because that's not a good look with a dark suit. But people still have that happen, so you got to be careful. But usually, right before a gig, they're very simple. It's a matter of survival, because all the hard work has been done before, and then the band is good and the technical crew is good and all that. So there's not a lot to worry about besides the zipper.
But the strange feeling having right before the show, like, oh, I'm really shaking, but I know I'm going through this, is the same with my job. I'm doing this for 20 years now. In 2 minutes before an interview, I'm like, oh, shit.
But I think that what it means is that your job or your work or your passion, that it is truly a passion and you care about it. Because there has been maybe 2-3 shows where I haven't gotten the butterflies before, and those have never been good ones, because your mind and your heart is not in the work, and that's just the routine, and that's the bad aspect of routine. Good routine is the fact that you don't have to think about the simple things, that you can concentrate on the essential and the more emotive parts. But I think it's always important, that sort of thing. But it's in that moment, it's hard to remind yourself about it. Yeah, it'll be okay. You know, it's like Yeah, I don't know why we're doing this, but sort of like putting ourselves through self-torture. But it's not that bad. It's good.
It's the same with tattoos.
Yeah, I should get some more tattoos, maybe on tour. It's been a long time. Usually I've always liked the tattoo artists being friends, or the whole thing happening for a reason, not just to get a tattoo. People are different, but that's how it happened to me. I met some tattoo artists, and then they did the bigger pieces for me, and that's been a long, long time. I remember, and then the different tattoo artists, it hits a different nerve. Dudes a lot of times they're very heavy-handed, and then you have to do a lot of filling afterwards because they're too heavy-handed. Not all of them, but from my experience. And then I remember Kat Von D did a few like portraits and stuff back in the day, like 2009, 2010 maybe. And she's miraculous in a way that it doesn't really hurt much, and then it heals really fast. And then also you don't have to do any filling, and it stays very well. You don't have to do any, I don't know what you call it, like re-inking later on, which people a lot of times have to do in like 10 years. So she's very good at it.
You're confirmed for a couple of festivals in 2023. I saw online, of course.
Which ones?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay.
No, I guess it was Rock am Ring.
Rock in Park.
Rock
Probably,
am
yeah.
Park. Right.
Yeah, because we're working on a few festivals. There's a lot of to be confirmed things, and I'm not sorting out the business side. So it's always Antti, my manager. He's giving me the updates maybe once a month where we are, and I don't want to sort of spoil the excitement by all of a sudden, making a blooper.
If you could host a festival by yourself, who would be in the lineup?
What kind of a festival? Could it be what kind of a festival? Oh, okay.
It's yours. It's your festival.
Who would be in the
choose
lineup?
the lineup.
Okay. The Sisters of Mercy, Turbo Negro. I used to hang out with El Presidente in Hamburg all the time. I'm one of the few Finnish guys with the St. Pauli Turbojugend, the jeans jacket, and Queens of Stone Age, Foo Fighters, because I think they're great guys. So pretty much just a few average rock festival, but I don't think it would be so much different. I think best festivals are the ones that have a variety of different kinds of artists, because then you have the chance of hearing music you've never heard before. Like I'm not sure if you've ever been to Roskilde in Denmark. You should. It's a fantastic festival. It's got maybe 20 stages or whatever. They're all very like big tents, like 10,000 capacity tents, and you can have Erika Badu playing at the same time as Sex Pistols and AC/DC and Ministry, and it's amazing the way how they book the festival. A lot of times festivals are very genre oriented, which I do understand, especially with metal. But then again, metal is so varied as well, with like Heilung, I don't know how to pronounce it, or Kailan Mikla, the Icelandic band, who are not metal, but they still, for whatever, or Anathema back in the day. The metal is such a vast world to itself, but those sorts of all-over crossover festivals have always been my favorite. So if I'd actually create a festival, I'd probably just wear a blindfold and just pick a few random pieces of paper from a hat with band names on them. That would probably be the best one. No, really, it's the best festivals like that. Like Roskilde back in the day was amazing. Seeing the Cardigans, and then seeing Slayer, and then seeing Sex Pistols, then seeing Ministry, and then I think it was Erika Badu, then it was later. But just all sorts of stuff. It's beautiful. That's the power of music. That you bang your head and then you smoke a joint or do whatever. That was when I was younger and a rebel. but festivals good. And I'm not sure, Rock am Ring and Rock in Park, they're so big as festivals. They're not the ones that you'd really hang out in. It was more like Hurricane and Southside and back in the day, or even the smaller one like Gothic Wave Treffen and some of that sort of stuff I remember better, because those were the ones that you would there would actually be a lot of bands that you could hang around with, because the dressing areas were the same. A lot of bigger festivals, the dressing area, you have several different dressing areas. You actually don't get to meet another band so much. So you can easily play 10 festivals not really seeing. They feel more like gigs because you don't have the time or the possibility of hanging around with different bands. So the ones that have a bit more communal sense are a bit more special. But there are those two. But we'll see how it happens. Last time around Rock in Park, I think, or whatever, I saw Dave Grohl. He came to our dressing room to say hi. I met him like a couple of times. As everybody knows, he's the nicest man in rock. and he's a sweetheart indeed. They were playing with them Crooked Vultures, and it was funny because the rest of the guys hadn't met him before, and they were so starstruck. It was great. Like 15 minutes before our gig, they were like all giddly. But that's the cool thing about being in a rock band too. We're still fans, you know, or being a solo artist. I'm still a fan, you know, and get giddly and then all that. That's good. It would be terrible any other way.
I guess my last time at Rock am Ring, Rock and Park was 2005, 2006. Okay. And for me, it was really hard to survive this kind of festival because in the campground, all the different genres meet. When you go to a metal festival, you know, there's beer, there's barbecue, and everybody's fine. If you go to a techno party, you know, everybody's on LSD and MDMA and whatever. And on the campgrounds at Rock am Ring, they mix. And this
is it a bad mix?
It is a bad mix. It's quite explosive. I really did not like the atmosphere in the campground.
Well, the solution to all that is to be in a band and never stay at a campground.
Okay, I'm going to do this.
I've been in Roskilde. I've been at tents. That's the only festival I've been in as a tourist. And other festivals I've always been playing. So, of course, we get to see the festivals from a very different perspective. But at its best, a festival for musicians is a great way of meeting other artists, maybe the best. And in that sense, festivals with a wide variety of music is more interesting than just to see your friends, you know, because meeting new people from different genres of music or whatever, it's a great way of coming up with new ideas and maybe new collaborations and all that sort of stuff. So,
collaborations is a good point. In the past, you did some music with Apocalyptica, with Natalie Avalon and stuff. Are you still open for this at the moment, or is it solo music time right now?
No, I think always doing like a duet or collaborating on a song with somebody. It needs to happen for a right reason. There has to be something that clicks musically or idea-wise. It has to be something a bit left of the center as well to me, a bit weird. So it's not the thing that people would necessarily expect the most. And I've done quite a few things during the years, and maybe I'm just waiting for the right one, a right project in that sense, because it's also you wear yourself out, your name out if you do everything. Of course, there's been people asking me to participate, but I'll try to keep it to, let's say, 2 a decade. It makes it more special that way too, because at least with the hip hop and everything, you know, it's so based on featuring this and featuring that. It's like second nature. I don't think it fits rock and roll too well, and especially, it does fit rock and roll if the artist is not all this stupid too, because I don't want to diss any hip hop artists. But I mean that, let's say the kind of music I do, it would feel weird to have somebody doing a duet on my song about my lyrics, expressing how I feel. You know, you have like the song I did with Lauri from the Rasmus and then Apocalyptica. We wrote our own parts and we really discussed the vibe of the song and the whole story of the song and how we would put it, and that made it interesting. But yeah, it's a complex question. I don't have an answer to that. Maybe I'm just a bit lazy or whatever. But I'm one of the few people that don't really think in commercial terms. Maybe that's my downfall. I think in terms of doing something that's cool and different. And this, you know, I'm not sure if it ends up being cool, but then again, everything's cool again in the next 20 years. Isn't that about the circle of like bell bottoms are in fashion, you know? So I think I'm always like 22 decades late. Like now I'm getting like on Neon Noir, there's all this like early 90s indie sort of things happening with the guitars and all that stuff. So maybe I'm most cool because of that. 20 years late and right at the time. I'm like a time traveler.
If you could time travel, would you travel to the past or to the future? And what time exactly? Just for taking a look, not for staying.
Either or, but really far away. I think that's the only thing that really makes sense. You know, like 2,000 years into the future, or 100,000 years back. Be interesting to see the planet, you know, before the dawn of man, you know, something like that. But thinking of it in historical terms, in any historical, I think the frustrating and the cool thing about life is the fact that we don't know what's going to happen next second, and we have the past that we're trying to learn something from, but we really don't. that much. We're trying to, bit by bit, but I think that's the sort of the endearing aspect of being a human being. So we're kind of silly.
I think Eika from Apocalyptica tried to fool me, and I want you to confirm or not.
Okay.
He said in Finnish there's a word for sitting at home alone in your underwear drinking. Is that true?
Kalsarikännit. That's probably the word he meant. It means it's like underwear drunk is like the word. It's like getting drunk in your underwear. Kalsari is underwear, and kännit is to get drunk. And it's just, it's basically drinking by yourself and, watching telly and getting messed up. I think everybody's done it once or twice in their lives, but that's always the sort of like the epitome of being in need of help.
Okay.
So maybe it was a cry of help when Eika told you about it, perhaps.
No, he's such a nice guy.
I haven't seen him in many years. So I saw him at a festival maybe 5-6 years ago, but he's a fun guy. He's been around for a long time too, so he's seen all sorts of changes in the music, world, and he's toured quite a bit. And it's such a weird and such a Finnish thing to happen, a band playing Metallica on cellos, and then continuing for like 30 years or something, 25 years, I think. So it's quite a weird. That's how the Finns are a bit weird. We don't know what is reasonable, and we're quite sort of like uncompromising, and that's our downfall in a way, but also the good thing about being quite honest and true, and then quite real. So take your pick.
One last question regarding your songwriting.
Oh.
How does a Ville Valo songwriting works? Is it sitting in the studio working, or is it shower thoughts, or is it walking through a supermarket and then a melody comes up? What is it?
Well, I think it's a combination of all those things. Most of us musicians, they say that you should keep your antennas on at all times. Because I think usually musical ideas come from a combination of experiences. So they can be whatever experiences, smells and food and conversations, and all that stuff goes down into your brain somewhere, and then it pops out. For me, it's always music and lyrics. They're like association games. Really, just a couple of notes, a little piece of a melody can bring me back to 80s or to whatever, and I think that's very important. So with my music, I always try to build a sort of association game for myself too. I don't do it necessarily by intellectual basis. I would start a song that I would now do it as an association game, but it ends up being like that a lot of times. Same with words. They can be, as you know, like not like necessarily safe words, but like triggers. There's words that trigger certain emotional things that are very personal. They're only to me because that's how I've learned the word and its meaning, and so that's the thing I dealt with a lot on the new album. And I was more picky and going into more details regarding all those associations, which makes it more important to me because I'm very personal. Because it's not so. In other words, the melody of the song and the lyric of the song and the music of the song are only half the story. Because I have the underlying little stories in there, and that makes all the difference in the world to me. Because that creates those juxtaposition is the word I think of the light and the dark, the happiness and the sadness. Because a word can be sad, but it can bring happy memories. But if you glue that word to another word that has another history, then that brings another story. So it actually becomes quite a complex set of associations, and I find that really interesting. That's how I read books. Not my own. I haven't written one, but I get lost in thoughts and get lost in words and sentiments and phrases and ideas. So I'm a bit of a daydreamer. I think I'd call myself in that sense. But that's a new thing for me, to be more sort of like more really deep dive into the song. And because I was working on one song at a time, it enabled me for my world to be only that song at that time. So I wasn't working on a gazillion different ideas, but it was all my focus went into one song, one melody, and one lyric at a time, and one production. So it gave it a special meaning. I'm not sure whether people can hear it, but then again, in music, the process is also very important. And if the process is meaningful to the person who creates it, then then it has to. In other words, it has to be meaningful. You know, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense to do it. So it has several steps. The whole story. You know.
Is there any song you're not able to play anymore because you cannot handle the emotion that comes up?
I think songs change along the way a lot of times, and a lot of times you always remember the original emotion, but by performing and by living life, you always find new things in there, and the lyrics of youth can be endearing in their honesty or in their blue-eyedness, or so no. I just, the simple answer is no. I don't find them any more painful. I just find some of them shit. So that's the reason not to play them. But also there's also the thing that I've enjoyed quite a tremendous success, to be honest about it all, with a few songs. So of course it means that those songs mean something to other people as well, which means that of course I will sing them when played live. So there's various stories of the songs, and they're not one-sided. You know, I have my view on the song, but when the song is released, then people make it live, and I think music is at its best when it's the background music for something important in your life. Those are the great moments, like your first kisses, and for whatever reason I started thinking about that, but those sort of things, because you remember that's always the emotional trigger, and that's what I meant by the lyrics and the little pieces of melody that remind me of something when I'm writing about them. That's how it makes it really intricate, like a puzzle or a house of cards. That makes it important to me, and hopefully through that it will one way or the other resonate with people too. But you never know, and that's the beauty of music too. You don't have to like the artist to like the song, or you don't have to like the process of what went through, or you don't have to like the lyrics to actually just sing along. That's the beauty of it all too. But it still doesn't mean that I wouldn't have to care about it to be able to put the song together in its first place. And being an old dog, old new tricks or whatever, however the saying goes, you have to do something. You have to be able to keep yourself on your toes. I think it's important in life in general, to sort of have sense of the butterflies. If everything's too mellow and too easygoing and too stale and zombified, that's not life. Not for me, at least.
I guess that was the most beautiful answer to this question.
That was a really long one. Sorry about that.
So let's come to a quite light question.
Yeah.
What do you stream on Netflix at the moment?
Oh wow! So there's something that just came out. Is it Inside Man? Just like a series that came out. Like I think it's David Tennyson or whatever his name is on that. I think the best Netflix series and movies are the ones that you forget all about after you watch them. That's the beauty of Netflix and all those streaming platforms. That they take you away for a second, and then once after that you feel sort of refreshed, and you can continue living your life. But I think as discussed earlier, it was an important safety measure for all of us to have the streaming platforms or whatever. So I think HBO had I May Destroy You, that series, which I highly recommend. I think that was amazing. But that was a couple of years back. I nearly won an Emmy. It's a UK production, but you should check it out. It's a great set of TV, like a TV series like no other before it. The way of I shouldn't be, and it's not too arty. I don't mean it that it's crazy or weird. It is weird, but it's like life. It's at times tough to watch. It's funny, and it's endearing, and it's sweet, and it's horrifying, and it's everything in the same series. It's amazing. It's one person who plays the lead and who wrote the whole story. It's a fascinating new voice. Yeah, well, I highly recommend it because a lot of people haven't watched it. It's the theme of the series is not something that feels very intriguing. It took me a while to start watching that too. But anyway, yeah. But that's HBO. I don't know. Do you get HBO here in Germany?
No.
But where there's a will, there's always a way.
That's true.
So, and I think that somebody else is going to be putting it out. I'm not sure if it was an HBO production or if it came out, if they bought it from another company. But I May Destroy You It's a weird name for a series too, but that was a really good one. After that, I felt that I had seen something very, sort of like, I feel different. It was a good. Same with Parasite, the Korean film. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was great because the one Korean film before was Old Boy, many years ago, and that had the same sort of similar, that you don't know whether it's laugh or cry, and it's very emotional, and they play, their sense of drama is amazing. It's sort of because it plays on different set of rules than and the sort of like American drama we're used to. So everything changed a bit when the rules have changed, and I think we need more of that in music, in life, and on Netflix. Yeah, sorry for a long answer again. Started thinking about all these series.
So, Christmas is coming up. What is annoying with Christmas?
I don't think anything is annoying about Christmas. You have to be prepared. If something is annoying, is shopping on the last day right before Christmas, or shopping on Christmas Eve, but that's your own mistake and your own fault. You can start purchasing Christmas presents right after Christmas. That's what I do. If I get a good idea, I just write it down and start working my way around that like that. But no, I think Christmas is one of at least for a musician, it's the only time when you don't tour, and it's the only excuse to hang around with the family. And so it's a good tradition to have, and I think that it's one of the only ones I still have left. So I don't want this Christmas, not at all. There's nothing annoying about it besides being fat right after. But that's your own fault again. So it's all good.
That's true. As you can see, I'm wearing a band T-shirt as every day.
Yeah.
Do you have band shirts at home? And which
I do. I used to collect quite a few and old ones. I still have the first one I ever purchased, which was November 16th, 1988. Iron Maiden playing somewhere on tour in Helsinki. That was my first gig ever. Wasp were supporting, and I still have the shirt. It's all like, I can't wear it, it's so small, and then it has all holes in it and stuff, but I've kept that. And I have band shirts by like the Sisters of Mercy, like old ones, Fields of Nephilim. Jeff from Carcass gave me some really early Carcass shirts. And same with Lee Dorian, who got one of the earliest Cathedral shirts. And I'm a huge fan of both Carcass and Cathedral and that sort of stuff. And when on tour and when touring with different bands, I actually do have quite a few shows by the support acts and the other way around, if we've been supporting somebody, trying to get something, do some swaps at the merch table. It's always fun. So I do have a ton. I'm not wearing any now. But this is actually this merch too. This is from a Finnish club called Lutakko in a city called Jyväskylä. I don't know why, it's comfy. So this club that's been there forever, always touring, like maybe 600 capacity.
Club shows are cool. I like club shows.
They're more intimate, they're more sweaty, they're more special. But then, or they feel like that to me. But then again, big concerts can be fantastic as well. But there's a different set of talent. I'm not sure if I could handle it. Like let's say, example, U2. I've seen them maybe 2 times or something. But they're the one band that they can make a stadium feel very comfortable. Bono is great in that. You don't even have to like the music. I like the music. I love Achtung Baby. I thought that was a fantastic album. And because wasn't that around the same time as when Songs of Faith and Devotion came out. So it was like a changing of the more sort of like electronic and alternative and all that mainstream coming together. And it was a fascinating time. And I remember seeing U2 and it was just, it was amazing how heartfelt it can feel even though you're hundreds of meters away and you can't really see shit. So where there's a will, once again there is a way. But I've never been schooled, never had the chance to play really big venues myself. So I feel a bit weird about them. A lot of times they're a bit cold, or then the entrances are not nice and the security is not nice, the toilets, because a lot of times they're sports arenas. And sports arenas don't have the feel of a club where you have the smell and the beer on the floors, and it's a different like Gross Freiheit compared to like the sports something, I can't remember what it is, Sporthalle, whatever. It is a totally different experience. But of course the gig can be fantastic and it can be emotive in both. But yeah, I'm a club person. I love the sense of community. Also, the musician being part of the crew, part of the club and part of the audience as well, that we're kind of on the same level. I mean, it's more real as opposed to just being put on a pedestal. But with some sorts of bands like Kiss or whatever, you know, it works fantastic, or worked. But I've understood that they're touring again, you know, so I'm not sure what's happening with them. But or Iron Maiden or any of those big old school bands. But then again, you know, I'd love to see, like Oliver Stone did the concert video of the DVD of the Rolling Stones playing that smaller club gig. I think that would have been amazing. See people with that sort of charisma on a smaller stage and actually get to see them proper close to you. I saw Kiss at Globe, and it's a big sports arena, like 20 grand in when they came back in '96, I think it was, in Stockholm. And that was great. I was really close to the stage, and that was such an amazing experience, being like close to my idols. So, you know, it's both ways work. But yeah, club is a world to itself. It's not only about the gig. And then a good club is the one that you go to maybe hundreds of times, and you hang out there on your spare time, and it's easy to go to see random bands play, because that's important too. It's not just always paying a high price ticket once a year and going to see whomever, The Cure. You know.
Very last question.
Right on.
Last question is not a question, but
okay.
Make a wish.
Out loud or in my head. Which one? Well, I'm hoping and wishing that there will be one night that people can sleep their nights in peace, all over globally. I'm hoping and wishing for world peace. That's my own. You know, people are asking me what's my wish for Christmas or what's my wish for birthday. You know, I'm always saying that because I'm hoping that if enough people say it will become true. Perhaps it doesn't hurt to try, because it's a good thing to happen. You know. Some sentimentality has to be. Maybe a Fender acoustic guitar or whatever, but that's another story.
Thank you for a beautiful, beautiful interview.
Oh, no. Nice that we pass some time. It's always good to.
Whole lot of talk. The interviews that rock. Subscribe to our channel for more rockin' podcasts.